Hello and welcome to The Well. I'm your host, Dr. Brendan Arm, Doctor of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine, Chinese medicine herbalist, and founder-director of Lotus Integrative Medicine in Santa Monica, California. There's a wealth of health-related information out there, and I'm joined today by this wonderful group of integrative and holistic medical doctors and practitioners to share some of our favorite wellness tips. Please let me introduce you to Bianca Rodriguez, a holistic psychotherapist, Dr. Heath McAllister, a naturopathic doctor and registered herbalist, and Dr. Rob Krochmal, a medical doctor and a practicing physician who is board certified in family medicine, nutrition, and integrative and holistic medicine. So let's begin. Today's topic is mask or no mask?
Well, this topic I think came up because, we had some town halls going on last night and, the president mentioned that masks didn't do anything. And I was curious what the medical professionals here have to say about that.
Masks absolutely do something, especially if worn correctly. So, like for instance, the Whole Foods where I live, they have a big sign that says, basically it shows a guy like this and it says correct. And then it shows a guy like this says incorrect. And that is absolutely true, because if you have your nose down and you're breathing out of your nose, and viral particles, they can ride along on little moisture droplets. And every time you breathe in and breathe out, there's little moisture droplets that can be expelled. And if you cough, then those get expelled even further. So it basically contains your sphere of your own germs that you have to a smaller area. And they've done studies on it, they've done research on it, and it's been identified as one of the main reasons why certain Asian countries have dropped their coronavirus rates like incredibly, because in those countries, they're used to, due to air pollution, wearing masks. It's not as much of a weird thing. Whereas in the US, we really had a hard time getting on board with it. People really struggle. When I first wore a mask in Whole Foods, people like backed away from me like I had the plague. It was so abnormal, it looked so weird. And now they kind of got on board, and now people are having COVID fatigue and they're like, backing off on it. But it absolutely, it reduces your sphere of germ transmission. Unequivocally, it does. And so the president is just dead wrong on that. Rob, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think, and you touched on a lot of it, partly in Asian countries, it's from the pollution, partly they've had some previous pandemics that they've gone through as well, so they're used to it. I hope there's not going to be a next one for us anytime soon, but I think we'll be more used to it at that time. I think the other thing is that you touched upon is that there is a lot of skepticism, there's a lot of doubt, and our current political climate kind of bleeds into the scientific arena. The average person, even the average doctor sometimes doesn't really understand necessarily how science works. And you can point to the recommendation that we didn't need to wear a mask before, and now they're saying we wear a mask. It's understandable that an average person out there would say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Where does that come from? But as we do more research, we do find out more. We are finding out that previously we didn't think that COVID was spread through aerosols, meaning that it can float around in the air, we used to think that the droplets would fall to the floor. And now we know that it does spread through aerosols. So to your point, a mask not only reduces the area around us that has the viral particles, if we are carrying it, but it reduces the concentration in the air. And there are some studies that show that we previously thought that we need to get to 60 to 70% infection rates before we get to herd immunity, but that if we're wearing masks, we may actually only need 20 to 30% before we get to herd immunity because of the decreased spread of the viral particles. And there's one more thing that I would add, which is that, along the lines of skepticism, I think while a lot of the average person doesn't necessarily understand, the kind of the ups and downs of science and the errors that can be made along the way, but the discoveries that are also made, the average person also has a lot of common sense. And for example, if we're telling people to wear masks outside, not only does that not make common sense to me unless we're in a very crowded area outside, but it doesn't hold up to the science either, because the viral particles are going to spread out and be dissipated through the air. So the idea that you're out on a hike in the woods and you have to be wearing a mask, to me, that is a bit ridiculous. And I understand why people would have skepticism about that if our leaders are telling us that.
Right, but it's more when we're in close proximity or in indoor closed spaces, where we're, the air maybe, is circulating around the same space, that's much more important to wear the mask.
Right.
And good HEPA filtration or some type of filtration system in the home or in your office, stuff like that can also help, probably clear some of the particles, so that the concentration is a lot lower. But I agree with both of you guys. All of us, it seems to be unanimous is you must, wearing mask is a must, especially when you're indoors, or around other people, in close proximity to other people. But yeah, when we go to the beach or something like that, and we're, socially distanced or physically distanced from a lot of people, and, and the amount of space is literally infinite around us, or very large within our close within a, outdoor proximity. I don't think it's as essential to be wearing mask when you're at the beach and everyone's physically distanced and practicing, common sense like that as well. But indoors, when I'm at the office, everyone here is always wearing masks, all the practitioners, all the staff, all the patients, and that's just a must because it is an indoor setting.
And I was just going to say, it's a common courtesy. I literally just sneezed, and what did I do? I did my Superman cape, as I've been trained, because, even before COVID, when a person, when we sneeze, when we cough, when maybe we have a cold, right? The common sense is that you would stay home, that you would try to limit the exposure of the particles that could infect other people. So, I feel like, a mask is a newer thing versus, for America versus, Superman caping and, using a tissue and, not going out if you're feeling that you're unwell. But it's like, I love that saying that's like, I wear my mask for you, you wear your mask for me, because we also know that there are cases of people that are asymptomatic. And so, you don't know, maybe you are one of the lucky ones that's not going to get super duper sick from it, but you also could, have the virus and give it to somebody who has, not as strong immunity as you do. So I think it is just kind of common sense, a common courtesy. Yes, it can be, annoying. You guys know I'm an asthma sufferer, and I like to go for workout walks, and, it does impact my breathing, but hey, that's a risk I'm going to take because I want to be a good citizen and I want to be kind to the people around me.
Yeah,
And
it's the greater good. It's where we're acting in the greater good. We're not acting in just pure self-interest. And it's just something we all need to do right now. And so, it's inconvenient, it's stifling, and I would also say this is that you shouldn't share masks. Like that doesn't really make sense. If you're breathing into a mask and then you're giving it to somebody else, and you have, say you are asymptomatic, like Bianca said, you share it to somebody else, they're going to be breathing directly, and they're going to be inoculated by your germs. And then the paper masks like these, people keep them in their cars, they reuse them many, many, many times. If these get damp, they have like almost like a hydrostatic. The way that they work is by like hydrostatic forces sucking in little viral particles. If this gets damp or moist, you got to toss it. In fact, these are really supposed to be single use anyway. So, when I go to Costco, for instance, I buy 50 packs of these things for my family. We should be changing them regularly. And the cloth ones should be washed regularly. You need to maintain these things. It's not just, a convenience thing or just to put on a show. You're actually trying to reduce transmission for yourself, your family, and everyone else around you.
Well, that's all the time we have today. If you have a topic you'd like to learn more about, let us know with a comment on social media. And also don't forget to subscribe to The Well YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us, and please join us next time for more wellness tips. Remember, regardless of where we are, our resources in The Well are limitless.